Hey guys, and this is my second devlog, and I just wanted to give you a quick update of where we were and to let you know what's been going on this week. So if those of you that are subscribed to this channel and you watch my videos regularly, you're awesome. For the last last year or so, I've been doing predominantly VR videos, and that's also what I do in my day job as well, creating a lot of VR and AR applications. And as soon as I started making this game, I kind of realized that I forgot a load of stuff. Before we get into that, I just wanted to give you a quick update of where we were. So I've been working on some of the lighting for the first scene. Let me just press play. That's a horse's ass. And let's have a look around the scene. So I was playing around with this barn, just trying to block out the 3D for this because this is going to be taking place in this shot. And then very quickly realised that it was too teeny weeny. So that was fun. So that was just a test, kind of really just to get the scale of things. But I was looking at the terrain and the lighting for the first scene on the ranch where you're escaping, and I think I've got the right kind of colours that I'm going for, and it's starting to look cool. This was more or less just to play around just with the control system in context and having to play around with some of the lighting and colours. So not a great deal has changed on this one. I did want to start to get the main menu together. I wanted to start to pull together the structure of the game and start thinking about how you go from the main menu, how the levels are loaded, and kind of create that kind of user journey and user flow and figure out what systems I'm going to need to be working on behind the scenes. So I created this main menu. At the moment, it's going to be really simple. It's just going to be a nice 3D scene when it's done. That you'll just have 3 options in here, and there'll be a title on the left. But I had totally forgotten how to do menus with controllers because I've just been doing VR for so long. All the normal stuff, I guess you could call it, I've had no idea, completely forgot. So I struggled for ages on how you hook up the UI to the button on the controller so you can scroll up and down and select things using the new input system, and that took me a while to get my head around. And in the end, it wasn't anything really difficult. It's just that I completely forgot what to do. So, on the buttons here, I'm using an explicit. You could do this through script, but I just chose to do it through the navigation on the buttons, using kind of explicit navigation on telling what button to go kind of where, depending on whether you're pressing up or down. So, on the button, if I select up, you'll see here it's got this visualize thing, which was quite cool. You can see the way the UI is kind of hooked up. So from the top button you got the continue button, and if I press up it's going to jump down to the settings, and if I press down from continue it's going to go to new game. So I was able to wire it up that way. This may all change. I was just kind of playing around and getting it all mapped out. So I got the overall kind of look for the first level, which I think was changing now. It's just a case of building out that scene. I also had a look at some terrain because some of the levels are going to be quite heavy on the terrain, particularly the last scene where it's just I need sprawling grass in a large area, and also the meadow itself, which has to be a little bit mystical. And the meadow that's in the game is quite prominent. It's going to appear probably after every level. So you do a scene, a level, in one particular environment, and then the horse is going to go into like a dream state at the end, and then you go to the meadow. So I spent a ton of work looking at that. So let's have a look at what's been going on for the meadow. So I started a new Unity project because I didn't really want to be messing around too much, bringing in just random assets into my main project. I wanted to just play around with the terrain and see what was going on, because the last time I did a terrain in Unity was probably my last terrain video, and that's probably 8 years ago. And in the URP, I wasn't sure on the limitations of that render pipeline and what you could and can't do. Turns out you can do an awful lot now. I remember when it first came out, I don't think there was any tool for grass or anything in the terrain editor. Might be wrong. So I wanted to see what the capabilities were of it, how much I remembered and what I could do. And it turns out I managed to get something quite nice that I like the look of. The grass, I mean, this is all just placeholder and experimenting. But in terms of the light and the style, I think I'm getting quite close, apart from the trees, which are all just placeholder, and they're a little bit too cartoony at the moment. But I managed to get this fairly large terrain. This is probably I think it's 100 meters by 100 meters. And I really like the colours. It's exactly kind of what I was looking for in the meadow. It's probably going to be a bit darker, with some of the northern lights going on and stars. But I think the overall feel, this is probably like more or less the tone of what I'm going for the meadow. And the meadow is going to be where the horse goes to once it goes to sleep, almost kind of like a dream sequence, if you like. But there'll be this big majestic stag here which guides you along life's journey and gives clues to the horse on where to go next. And I really like this. And although this doesn't include the horse, I've got this asset here from the asset store. So this is all free assets apart from the grass, which I had to make very quickly. But I've got this robot dude, which is representing my character, because I wanted to test the frame rates of the grass stuff I was putting in. And I was with this scene, which I wouldn't consider it to be too heavy. I think I'm getting about 70 to 80 frames per second at 4K using these trees and a few assets, which is not great. I really needed it to be a bit higher, because some of the levels are going to be really dense on the grass and the foliage. But it's a great start, and it's showing me what I need to do. I think there's probably going to be a couple of assets that I'm going to look to bring in order to improve the rendering. Probably going to look at, and if anyone else has used it as well, that'd be a really big help. Just drop a comment in there. If anyone has used the nature renderer plugin to improve their workflow, or if anyone else has got any great suggestions on really performant terrain that's slightly stylized, any terrain systems, vegetation systems, leave a comment in the chat and I'd love to check them out. So this is all using kind of default stuff. A couple of free art assets. I've got the customizable skybox here, which is free from the asset store. Also got something from Pure Poly, which is the trees, and also Simple Nature Pack, which is some rocks and stuff. But I won't be using any of those because they are just a little bit too cartoony. But at least it's given me inspiration to move forward, and I can start practicing some of these techniques which I've long forgotten. It took me for ages to figure out how to paint the grass. It's just like a blank terrain, and I was painting away and nothing was happening. I restarted the editor, reinstalled another editor, and then all it turns out was on the terrain, like you guys will be like, oh, what an idiot. But on the terrain, there's this grass here, and you can. I put in my grass texture and was painting away, and nothing was happening. I thought it all broken, but there is a box here. It was checked by default called billboard, and I just didn't see it. And it was only by chance, just fiddling around, I unchecked it, and then all my grass came, and I was so happy. So it was all these little things, just like getting used to again. So let me put it in play mode, and you can check it out. Drag my game window up and press play. Oh yeah, I was playing around with this particle system as well, which kind of follows the player. So imagine this is a horse, and you're kind of galloping through the meadow, and as you do, you're kind of creating these particles. So this part is way more stylized than other parts of the game will be. This is intended to be a bit magical, a bit dreamlike, somewhere where you can go in between the levels. So I'm getting about 50 frames a second at the moment on this terrain, with all the grass and the trees. There's a bit of post-processing on there as well, which is probably going to cause a bit of lag, but I really like the particles. It just looks so cool as you're running around. I think having the horse in here is going to take it to the next level as well. And now it's just really a case of getting that performance up. I'm hoping like something like the nature renderer is going to give me at least another 30 frames, hopefully. I don't really know. I haven't really checked it out. I'm going to have to buy it in the next month or so and get it in here and start optimizing. But this is definitely the kind of look and feel I was going for. This is probably a little bit bigger than the meadow would be, because this is quite a large space to fill. But definitely got that kind of magical feeling to it. And then lastly, the last thing I've been looking at, I decided that I wasn't going to do it originally because I was just going to kind of let the creative process run free, but I've done a bit of a U-turn, and now I'm actually going to be putting some documentations together. So I'm actually working on a game design document, or GDD as some of you might know it as, and this is going to outline everything to do with the game basically, and I'm doing that in Google Slides, I think. Let's have a look. So yeah, I'm doing my game design document because I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of get what was in my head out onto paper. And this was good because it allowed me to, all those ideas and stuff and thoughts I had in my head about what I wanted the game to be, I can get out in here and store it and then kind of stop thinking about those things because it's all kind of here. So the game design document, I haven't finished it yet, but I've got like a sales pitch, if you like, or elevator pitch on what the game's about. I've got some game genre and inspiration slides on some games which I think are going to really drive the themes and the style of what my game is going to be. It then goes into talk about what platforms targeting, so initial release on Steam. And I didn't know in my head how much this thing is going to cost. I suppose it's all going to come down to how big of an experience this game is. But I thought about $10, which is about £8.20, seemed like quite a good price. But you know, this is where I'm opening the floor to you guys and where you can be involved as well. How much do you think you'd be willing to pay for a game that was probably around 4 hours long, good story, nice graphics, and just a really cool experience? How much would you be prepared to pay for a game like that? And then if you drop that in the comments, it'd be good to hear your thoughts on it. Also got a features section, unique selling points, an introduction, and then I'm started to break it down into gameplay. So here's where I go into each level, what the gameplay is, what the puzzles are, and then after this it'll talk about the systems that are required, so like a save and load system, a collection system, and this memory system that's all going to have to be created. And I'm going to put this on my Patreon channel as well as the build here with my particle dude. So Patreons can have a look, and it'd be good to get them to see how well it's running on their machines. Because I've got this is a 2080, I think a 2080 Ti in this machine, so it's a few years old now. But it'd be nice to see kind of if anyone's got anything less than that, maybe like a 1080. How well this is running on their machine. But there's no gameplay, literally just running around. You can use a controller, arrow keys, and you can also fall off the map. Does look awesome. But that's this week's update. It's coming along. It's definitely happening. I've got a few other projects which are kind of slowing me down a little bit at the moment. I'm working on another iOS and Android mobile game, which I want to finish before I do this one. That was like a warm-up, a precursor to this game here, just to get me in the right frame of mind. So once I finish that and my Udemy course is all done, which I'm halfway through, then it's all systems go on the game. But now I've just got time to kind of plan it properly, think about it, do a lot of research into assets, and look at some of the best way to do some things. I hope you guys have liked the video and like the updates. There can be more detail as time goes on, as we get into like the systems and the art and putting the game together. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.